Hey everyone, Griff Hamlin here. Welcome and thanks for joining me today. In this video we're going to be talking about what chords and some rhythm ideas that you might use for the B.B. King song The Thrill Is Gone. Now in a previous video we talked about how to play the introductory solo, and I just sort of played some chords into a looper to play the solo over those chords. And so today I'm going to show you what those chords are and how I approached it in this situation where I'm not playing with a band. We'll talk a little bit about how I would, if I was playing with a band, what I would do. But primarily this is going to be how would you approach it if it was just say you and one other person, okay? Because it is a very different approach. Now, the chords, if we just take a look at what the chords are, it's going to be the same chords over and over. It's a minor blues and it's in the key of B minor. So we're starting with a B minor chord. Now, could you play that version of a B minor chord? Absolutely. If you prefer it, knock yourself out. There's almost no rhythm guitar on the original recording of this tune. And that's really important to keep in mind because a lot of times, you know, people want to play a song right off the record. Well, if you're playing it right off the record, you're not playing anything. Most of the rhythm is handled by a keyboard. And there's a string section and drums and bass and all kinds of stuff going on. So there's actually very little. If you listen carefully, you can occasionally hear another guitar going on. And I would wager that it's not B.B. King playing it. And you'll hear some occasional, like, single note things, like just little low notes. And that's it. But again, it's really hard to hear on the original recording. So keep in mind that what we're now doing is arranging the song as much as anything. And you know, there's a difference between playing a song, writing a song, and arranging a song. So we're arranging it for how we're going to play it. Okay, so again, first chord is a B minor. So we can do 4 bars of B minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is my favorite easy way to play chords, is to hit them on beats 2 and 4, much like a snare drum would, okay? So that's really what I'm doing here, is I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm on beat 1, I'll strike the low end, or maybe even nothing. I might just kind of do that, or I might do like a palm mute, or I might just hit it very lightly. So like 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Something like that. That's a very easy rhythm for a straight. This is a straight feel, so that's an easy rhythm. If you were to do it down here, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That's going to work fine too. The only difference is you're not going to have that high B. Will you miss it? I don't think so. But if you're the type of person who really wants to hear that note, then you're going to miss it. Okay? So the next chord for 2 bars is the 4 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or however you want to count that out. It's an E minor. Can I play it? I could play it here. I could play it open. Right? Again, if you were like playing this on an acoustic, you might want to stay to some of these low chords. 1 and of course, if you're playing in an open position, your right hand is going to have to do a lot more muting because I can't just let go like I can on a bar chord. I can just relax my left hand. My right hand doesn't have to do anything. But I'm still, as soon as I strike, I'm still planting my right hand as I'm relaxing my left hand. If I go to the E minor, same thing here. 1 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, now one other thing to keep in mind, you can almost always replace a minor chord with a minor 7th chord if you know that sound. If you know how to play one of those kinds of chords. It's actually pretty easy. From a B minor, if you lift up your pinky, you get a B minor 7. There's another way to finger it where I'm doing this. So my middle finger is playing the B at the 7th fret of the 6th string, but my 3rd finger is barring across the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings also at the 7th fret. Okay, if I use the, I'll say root on the 5th string minor bar chord for a B minor, and I lift up my pinky, again, I get a B minor 7. And for E minor 7, or E minor, lift up the pinky, it's E minor 7, assuming your bar is hitting that 3rd string for you. You can even lift up your middle finger on this chord. Get an E minor 9 if you want. If I'm using my low E minor, my open E minor, I could add my pinky on the D at the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Okay, so if I do it with straight minor chords, 1, 2, and 3, and 3, and 1, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and still my straight minor chords, and back to the B minor. Okay, now if I do it with minor 7th, 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and 4 and E minor 7. And in reality, you're probably going to want to use some combination of all of the above. You may find that you really like the straight minor chord over the 1 chord, the B minor, but you might prefer the E minor 7th. And you may decide that you want to do 1 measure of B minor and then 1 measure of B minor 7th and then back to B minor. You can make all those decisions. I'm just trying to show you what's out there and what's available. But decide, again, based on what you want to hear. Because again, you're not copying anything. There's nothing to copy in this case. So play it how it sounds good to you. All right? So the next chord that we're going to come up with is going to be G major 7th. Okay, so if we're in the key of B minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is a B major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next chord is a flat 6. This is the common next chord in a minor blues. And so the way I'm going to play this, there's a few different ways. You might know this shape here. You might know this shape. You might know that shape. You might know that shape. There's a few different ways to play a major 7th chord. So the way I'm playing this, my pinky's on the 10th fret of the 5th string. My 3rd finger is on the 9th fret of the 4th string, and I'm barring the top 3 strings on the 7th fret. This is one of my personal favorites, but it's not comfortable for everybody. So again, there's lots of ways to play a major 7th chord. Just find one that works for you. And the next chord is an F sharp 7. So again, I can 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Or I could play it out a little bit more since it is the turnaround. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 1 and then 2 bars of B minor to finish it out. So that is all of the chords. So the way I just played it for you with sort of that 1, 2, 3, and 4 idea is very much how I would do it if I was playing it just me and somebody else. I want to keep a little bit of the low end in place, right? So I want to have the lower notes, and I want to get the drums. I want to do something to give this some rhythmical motion. And so a drummer would play kick drum on beat 1, snare drum on beat 2. The simplest would be kick drum on beat 1, snare drum on beat 2, kick drum on beat 3, snare drum on beat 4. We commonly call that the money beat. It's just basic, the most basic drum beat, and hi-hat plays 8th notes. Okay, so if I want to kind of emulate that, I'm going to keep my right hand sort of going in 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3. So that's giving me the general gist of it. And at any time, I can sort of give that hi-hat feel just by scraping my strings. So my left hand is relaxed, and I can sort of get that feel of the hi-hat, right? Well, when I want the kick drum, that's my low end. When I want the snare, that's my high end. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and And so I'm not doing anything except hitting either sort of the low end of the strings or the high end of the strings and either pushing down or not. So you can see right now I'm not pushing down. 1, I push down. 2, I hit the high end and push down. And if you get to where you can do that, a lot of rhythm, a lot of the sound of a lot of rhythm sort of comes through in your playing. And even though you don't have drums, you sort of are giving that illusion of drums. So that's a good way to play a song like this in such a way that if it was just you and somebody else, it would still have a good rhythmic foundation. Now, if I was playing it with a band, however, I would want to stay out of the way, and I would actually just play the top end. And I would pretty much just mimic the snare drum. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 3. And then I just play a little bit for the E minor, and I'd pretty much stay up here out of the way. Okay, because again, remember that you have a drummer, you have a bass player. They will handle the low end and you should stay out of their way. Okay, so if you were going to fill in with a band, let's say you were going to go to an open jam session or something like that, you would want to literally stay right here. 1 and 3 and 2 and 3. And when it comes to the E minor, 1 and 3. Even if I finger the whole thing, I'm only going to strum the top end. 1, 2 and 3 and back to the B minor. And when it comes to the G major 7, I might finger it just so I know where I am, but I'm not going to play it all. And the F sharp 7, I'm only playing like 2, maybe 3 strings of that. And you might hear on this song, some bands will put a 5 chord at the very, very end. So the last 2 bars would be like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and you can certainly do that. Putting in a 5 chord at the end of a 12-bar phrase is a very common thing to do. So sometimes you'll hear a band do that, and sometimes they won't. So just keep your ears open, and the first time it comes around, listen carefully. If the band goes to the 5 chord, don't play anything and just wait, and then the next time around you'll catch it. So that's an easy way to sit in with that, okay? So that's really all there is to it. And again, this is one of those things where you're going to, put this together in a style that works for you based on your situation. If it's just you and one other person, then do your best to, keep some rhythm going for them. Play the low end on beat 1, play the high end on beat 2, play the low end on beat 3, or maybe 3 and. You get that boom, boom kind of sound like it's a kick drum, okay? So again, you're sort of emulating a drum. And again, if you're playing with a band, stay out of the way. Just play the little chords on beats 2 and 4. Keep it nice and easy, especially if it's a band you don't normally play with. The last thing you want to do is get in the way, okay? So hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to go ahead and play it one more time for you on the way out, and that way if you want to play along with me, you can. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and I look forward to talking to you soon. 1, 2, 1, 2.